All right, part two. Just talking about eating corn tortillas for a month. I'm going to read something real quick that I wrote in regards to that. I was told my appetite for gourmet food, salt, spice, and sugar was destroying the world because it made everybody want these things and not everybody could have them, and humanity was destroying the earth trying to acquire these foods. It was as if for each action I took, millions of other people were taking the exact same action at the same time, or they were doing a great deal of damage to try and take the action. I would have destroyed the world with just one bad meal. Um, it was all sorts of crazy stuff like this. It was like I was influencing my environment in some way, or at least this is what I was being taught. Is about it was like I was smoking cigarettes, and I was told that my smoking cigarettes was the direct correlation to climate change and pollution, coal stacks. Basically, it was like. Uh, but my entire experience was dictated to me, and I was doing exactly what I was told. It was explained to me what was going on, and it was that my ego needed to die, it needed to be silenced. And my body agreed to this experience, and I kind of watched this battle happen between the Pleiadians and my ego, or the right side of my brain and the left side of my brain. Um, Going back a little, I got fired from my job because I was working for the Pleiadians and not for this restaurant. Like, it was wild. Um, for this whole time, everything had a meaning. The time, the color, uh, everything had some sort of symbolic meaning, um, and it was all dictated to me very clearly, like when to sleep, when to eat, when to drink water, when to drink coffee, uh, when to do everything. I had to get rid of all of my possessions, basically everything that I was attached to, and basically things that I was attached to were things that people had given me. So I had to get rid of all my knickknacks that I had been given out throughout my life, um, and I gave them all away. I put them in a box and put them in a free pile at the place I used to work. And either way, I had to go through all my stuff and organize it. It was as if the Pleiadians didn't want my ego to know where all my things were. It was like a boot camp. It was training. Like sometimes it would just, that voice would wake me up in the middle of the night and be like, time to get up, time to organize your drawers. And I'd be like, oh, no way. Y'all really doing this to me right now. And it was like that for a long time. It was like boot camp. Like, pick up that shirt, fold it the other way, unfold it, pick it back up, fold it. And it was like, it was so frustrating, but it was just drilling into me that, this new voice is in control. And this new voice it was based in love and understanding, and I could see the fear and the anger and hate or whatever. Not that I was a hateful person before or anything like that, but once the ego was attacked by the Pleiadian voice, this new voice in my head, higher, it came from here, and yeah, it didn't like it at all, and I got to kind of see this whole thing play out. Um, I went. It was like scenario after scenario. It was like each day brought a new challenge or something that I was told, and my job was just to believe what was going on and just run with it. I just had to sink into the experience. Um, I was like, I had to face my death over and over. I thought that I was going to be killed in all sorts of different ways, and I just had to step in and be not fearful. Like my job here on Earth was done, and I didn't have to worry about anything. And of course, I never died. Here I am. But I thought in those moments I was going to die, and each time was a different scenario, and it didn't work just to say this is not real. It just would intensify. I just had to play my part, do what was in front of me. Um, Anyways, I stayed in California for about 30 days at a friend's house and ended up coming back home to Oklahoma. My experiences had become not as intense. At least it wasn't like a training camp all the time. But my ego had also been silenced. It had become what I call, or what the Pleiadians called, an observer. It no longer chose to have a say in anything. It started to enjoy the experience of the Pleiadians being in control instead of me. Um, I was doing some reading right through there. Leslie Stein, I believe, She worked with some of Carl Jung's work in a Becoming Whole, and that really kind of let me see where I was inside of this process. And some other books, I was instructed to read them. I think it was Mimi Economics and Realm of the Hungry Ghost, and of course parts of the Red Book were included in that as well. And they were all speaking to me in a certain way. One of the biggest things that I learned was about things. That they weren't just things, that there was actually some sort of energy in these things. Like, if you buy a bag of potato chips, it has the energy of the person that planted the potatoes and the person that processed them. Anybody that put energy in the process of getting them to me, it's like I was eating a bit of their soul whenever I would do that. And it was the same thing with money. When I was buying things, or it was like there was more than just a dollar bill. It was some sort of, I call it cellular. There were cellular interactions going on with the things that I ate, with the money, all sorts of things. I went through a strange space where I couldn't make eye contact with anybody. And I'm sure this was weird for the people I was living with. They had no idea what was going on. And I kind of told them in the end what I thought they needed to know, because in a way they were guiding my soul. And they weren't aware of it. But in my experience, they were my teachers and my quote-unquote masters, I guess. And I won't get into all that kind of business, but, maybe another day. I don't know if people will even find this interesting or not, but why not, right? Let me look through here and see if, I don't know, one weird thing that happened to me. I remember I was at the store, and there were all these, Coke bottles, and all the Coke bottles had someone's name on them, but all the names corresponded to somebody that I knew in my life, and it was like I was about to have a drink of someone's soul, but it wasn't about choosing whose soul I wanted to have a drink from. It was like choosing the one that I was supposed to. And a lot of my experience was about that, like, not picking the mate that my ego wanted, but picking the mate that my soul wanted. And it was selected through cars. Like, I was supposed to, notice white cars, or actually white Jeeps to be specifically, color of purity, and all this, all the colors had meanings. Wow. Anyway, so I came back, so I just want to go through and make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm missing a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to go through all of this, just because it's a lot to understand. Maybe one day I'll get my blog up and you can read my crazy ass story. So I came back to my parents' house, and it was time to bring down the grid. And in my experience at least, I don't know if this is true or not, like I said, I was fighting with the dark forces on the earth, and I was communicating with them telepathically. We tried to let them take power over themselves. We tried to share the energetic space between the light and the dark, but basically they constantly were manipulating the situation, taking advantage of it. I was supposed to keep balance, and I remember, carving these double helix structures into wood. I carved 5 of them, and each one of them was supposed to be some sort of dark shaman, and I was supposed to keep them safe. And I wasn't supposed to destroy the darkness. I was supposed to somehow hold balance or something like that. It was wild, and I was doing it all through the internet, through social networking. I had 3 computers and 3 sets of speakers going, and I was like a digital DJ from another dimension, and like I would load up all sorts of things and like post them in a certain order. Like I had to eat certain foods, and it was strange. And I was meeting all sorts of people on on the internet from other places in the world. It was like they would just pop up as a suggested friend, and I'd click them, and the world was weird. So this went on for a while. Like, we battled over this grid until one day it was supposed to come down, and I connected with a dark shaman, and we were supposed to bring it down together. It didn't happen, but it was like some sort of state of meditation combined with I don't know. It was like I was in outer space. It was like I was remotely flying around or something crazy like that. Anyways, so we pull this grid off the earth, and she tries to throw it back on there, and it's like I ended up pushing her so far out into outer space, and like I don't know. It was like she got surrounded by red dwarfs, and she's like, when I look in my mind, I can still see her there today, and she's kind of like trapped in there. But it was wild, and so we laid a new grid on the earth, and it was basically told to me, you're done. That was it. That's what you came here for to do. The rest of your life is going to be a little easier than what you just experienced. I started vividly dreaming inside of this time as well. It was like I was just doing some major slicing and dicing of demons, and I had this crazy nightmare, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I wrote it all down. I was like, this is crazy. I was in some sort of coffin with my family, and we were all cramped in there, and they needed my dad for something, and I'll just tell you what I wrote. It was weird, but it was just so real. It was like it was really happening, and I had to wake my dad up, and I don't even remember what I told him, but this was like a big deal. This was one of the times that the darkness tried to manipulate and tried to take over, and it was really the only big nightmare I had until recently. It says, on planet Uranus or Saturn, I couldn't tell, it was Uranus or Saturn planet shaped like an oval instead of a circle. Very cold atmosphere. Artificial heat at each end of poles. Allowed satellite to be sent to Earth. Wanted Dad's algorithm developed. It was in a book my mom had before I was born, but they destroyed the book because it was bad for them. I found the book and it spoke to me. Had me write to Father. Aliens came to all three of us in sleep to scare us. Took Dad's soul up to space. Woke up. Whole family terrified. Artificial pockets of warm air at ends of planet. Inhospitable appearance allowed something to happen or connect with Earth. Book was done by Führer, which is like Hitler, I guess. And I drew this like little picture here of the Earth. There is on the bottom, and that's the oval-shaped planet, and some sort of something around there. Couldn't hurt Dad, but took soul to space to take algorithm somehow. The evil, or book they thought was evil, had algorithm Dad wrote inside of it with a question mark. I don't know. I like woke up and just wrote this. I was like, I got it right. And then whenever I let the Pleiadians translate it to me, this is what it came out to be. It is weird. I don't know. But why not, right? It says, the black people in jail are holding whites emotionally hostage with their knowledge, trying to disrupt grid. Nothing better to do. Pent-up anger, using whites unconscious in jail to create massive satellite connection. Use algorithm. Need fix now or whole grid comes down. Building the Führer, Hitler, right this moment. Building massive unconscious white supremacists. And basically I had to get on the internet and shut this shit down and wake my dad up. It was a mess. And I don't know if it was, like I said, I don't know if this shit's real or not. But it's crazy, and you can get through it. You just gotta listen, you gotta do your shit. And so after that little meditation battle where, this dark force got wrapped in these red dwarfs way out in the middle of deep space, it was like, you're done, that's it, good job. And, you know, there'll be new people that come here, and they will, you know, in dream space, they will battle demons. And, you know, you will help them learn how until they have done their service in the front lines. And I went through a lot of meetings at first. It was like I was meeting with large groups of people. I had teams that were working with me telepathically. I would, you know, they were holding back forces that were trying to distract me or convolute me or mess with my mind. They were much more spiritually adept than myself, and they were helping me. So anyway, today it's like I just kind of learn stuff in my dreams, and I wake up with new ideas or new ways of looking at the world. And it's like, how can I possibly come up with any new ways to look at the world? But somehow it just happens every night. That was, you know, there was a lot of intricate stuff that I left out. You know, this was a long process, but it was wild and it was hard. It was, I don't really know what war is like, but aside from getting shot at, I mean, I felt like I was getting shot at. I felt like I was in a war. And I feel much stronger and more whole after being inside of that experience, whatever it was. And now then I just live my life without the direction of the Pleiadians. You know, it's like I'm more like a child, and they want me to learn my mistakes and do what I'm going to do. You know, they only needed to be in control for that moment, long ass moment. But yeah. I while you're here, I'll tell you about the only other, you know, my dreams weren't always vivid. It just started with these Pleiadian experiences, at least the most recent ones, where I was able to confirm that what I was experiencing was Pleiadian nature, at least the best of my ability. But yeah, I was laying in bed, and there was this being, and it looked like a human, and you know, she said, "I need to talk to you." She said, "My species is is going to become extinct. I need to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." And as soon as I say okay, like, this thing, it was like Emily Rose exorcism style, like this naturally looking human